Welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday to everyone. My name is Brady Moss. I am the manager of the sales team here at Lofty. We are thrilled to be a part of your time. Thank you for jumping in this afternoon. We've got a jam-packed session here today. Let me make some quick introductions. I have Brian Hoyleman joining us as well. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of Lofty. Go ahead and say hi, Brian.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, we're thrilled to be a part of the Realty One Group relationship. For the folks that are already on board with Lofty that are a part of Realty One, thank you so much for attending. If you are not a part of Lofty yet, you're with Realty One, we'd love to connect and show you more about this after our webinar wraps up. So we'll be sending out some links and some more information to you as we move through this. But thank you everybody for attending. We're thrilled to be here. The topic for today is NAR, right? There's been a lot of talks out there. There's been a lot of emotions out there with NAR, and we're here to dispel some of those rumors. We're here to breathe a little bit of calmness back into your day-to-day, and we're here to provide some tips and tricks and strategies that you can arm yourself with as our real estate trajectory continues to evolve. So with that, I'd like to turn it over first to Brian. Brian has been in this space for decades. He lives and breathes in real estate. He's extremely passionate about helping agents, teams, and brokerages maximize their business and their production. And I just love to hear from Brian first and foremost. Where's your head at with NAR? What do you think about the ruling? Give us some feedback and some insights as we just kick things off.
Hi, thanks. So I've been in the space since the website came into the space, so a long time. And even at that time and moving forward to where we are today, from digital marketing to lead gen, the idea of at-home shoppers, to portals, to all this has been pressuring the space in this kind of commission, what we do with it. This is not a new topic. This is not something that we haven't experienced before. In fact, most of the biggest changes in our space have been driven through lawsuits. We all survived the housing market crash back in the early mid 2000s. That was a big one with the mortgage stuff. And now we're in a new situation where we're making some changes. And there's been a lot of changes, commingling of data. We've lived through all of these things. And ultimately, the reality is 80% of transactions that happen in real estate happen through an agent. Now, that's not going to change overnight. And we have to think about how this change really is going to affect things and so it's maybe pivoting, but I don't see this as something that's like, oh, we're not going to be able to, we're already adjusting to that. So today is about not taking your fishing poles out of the water and freaking out over, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get paid. What it really is about is making sure that you do the right things to increase your ability to take advantage of this to get paid more often and increase your opportunities to adjust how we communicate, how we present, and how we use the search to settlement phase of where people are coming from, getting them into the boat, and making sure that we're capturing as many people as possible so that we actually get paid more often. I look at this as a positive. It may reduce some sort of commission. We may have to adjust some of that, but ultimately it makes us as a team, as a group, as an advisor, and I like advisor more now than just agent, as an advisor to tell the consumers and make us more important to the process as opposed to not as important. It's giving us an opportunity to be more important in that process. And I look at it as potentially a positive. It may be less money, but it means that we're more important. We're going to have more opportunities to transact.
Yep. I always think back to I think it was Warren Buffett that always preached the adage, and you brought up a good point about the housing crisis, right? You bring up we've been through some major tumultuous events. COVID is another one, right? But when I think about those altering events that have changed our landscape a bit, I always go back to thinking along the lines of when other people are scared is your time to be bullish, right? When other people are pulling back, it's your time to lean in, right? And it's extremely difficult to do. We all condition ourselves to think, oh, something external has happened and I need to operate fearfully now. And that would not be the right mindset to take into this, right?
And before we get through in this kind of just opening things that give you guys and everybody here on the call some kind of impact that, hey, we're talking, this is an open dialogue. So what we're really doing is talking, and we want an open dialogue. We may not answer questions as they go, but we're going to give a lot of time at the end to create that dialogue and ask those kind of hard hitting questions. Both Brady and I deal with we get 2 to 3,000 new users that come into our ecosystem at Lofty per month, the total number of agents, 65,000 users, about, 50, 60,000 users, hundreds of enterprise level brokers. We have hundreds and hundreds of ROG teams, offices, and agents that use our system. We have a great relationship with ROG. So just know that we're talking about this every single day, and we're adjusting and advising agents every day about this. So this is not us trying to pitch a product, but more just bring some insight because we deal with this in every point of view all over the place. But we also want to learn too what you guys think and what everybody thinks on this call. One note about what you were saying, Brady, when it comes to pivoting and changing and Warren Buffett, what we want to really understand about this idea of not pulling back and expanding and all these things is that the reality right now is we're thinking about how this affects us. When we're thinking about consulting with the consumer, how is it really affecting them? And how can we be the voice of reason? Because that uncertainty that they feel is an opportunity for us to be the expert. And agents have kind of lost in a way that battle a little bit over the years of just trying to buy leads online and have lost that concierge expert type mode, so to speak. So this is a great opportunity to be the expert and reinvent your mindset in the space. And that's what I hope this does, is give you a better mindset.
Yep. Maybe we could start off here just by talking about, number one, how your day-to-day won't change in light of the NAR rulings, right? And I think it's really important to start off by always, the number one thing that we think about in sales is building lasting, enduring, and powerful relationships with people. And right now, creating those relationships with your clients, your leads, your network, your neighborhoods, I think that's going to be more important than ever. And that certainly won't change. Brian, I think even yesterday, you and I were talking about a strategy of doing something as simple as hosting a house party where you invite your neighborhood around just to get to know those folks better. Because guess what? At some point, the people living next to you 5 doors down, they're going to be doing transactions at some point, right? So maybe you could give some insight into something as simple as leaning into building relationships in your community.
So part of things haven't changed is really what things aren't going to change. And when this time, the same old things, in fact, we're going back to school, old school, back to relationship building, and we move away from internet lead or online lead gen type of driving mindsets. It's harder to create relationships. And so it's harder to get that. So what I like to think about agents and everybody listening to this call, we often think about technology as, wow, oh my God, we're overwhelmed. How do I do this? How do I do that? And the easiest way to think about your business in a box, so to speak, as an agent of search to settlement is really about how do we connect the people, and we leverage the things that are out there to do that. And so the easiest way to think about technology and non-technology activities is really about real estate's about planning a party. And many years ago, oh my gosh, we're talking almost 20 years ago, I met a realtor and Charlotte, and I said, what do you like to do in your business? I'm going to help you make money. And she said, I like to wine, dine, and have a good time. I never forget that statement. And I said, that's awesome. Let's create a wine, dine, and have a good time marketing strategy. And she's like, what does that mean? I just want you to throw a party. You have wine, dine, and have you every month you have a party. So now I want you to throw parties every month. And that turned into a band, that turned into a stage, that turned into a whole thing in our house. It became an event, and hundreds of people every month would share in her wine, dine, and have a good time community event. And she generated tons of listings. So when we're thinking about our business, we really want to connect the people, wine, dine, and have a good time. And I don't mean literally that, but you have to throw a party. You have to invite people to that party. So Google, if you do online lead gen, that's a party. You're inviting people to your page and you're throwing a real estate party. You're throwing a way to buy a home party. And if it's not a party, literally, you could actually throw a party like a Halloween party And I've had realtors do that. I've been to that, and they've generated business. And the party is sponsored by their organization, their team, or their brokerage, or whatever they're doing. Lunch and learns. That's a big one. I went to one in La Costa a couple of weeks ago. An agent was showing a commission lawsuit, how to buy a house in the new age, and she was doing a lunch and learn. There was 30 to 40 people at that lunch and learn. So we have to think outside of our box and think differently. And that's what this all call about. What we're going to talk about is how things aren't going to change. Really, it's just people. And so, and so why don't we get started on some of those topics about how things aren't going to change, and then talk about how we can leverage the technology
Yeah,
to help that.
I just wanted to put a little bow on what you were saying though with the party though, and I think back to the old slogan that people don't always remember what you say, but they will always remember how you make them feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think now is that time for establishing an emotional connection with folks by being genuine, by being authentic, right? And by being extremely helpful in the process of helping your buyers and sellers find their dream home or maybe move on to the next property or whatever that path looks like, right? So at the same time, the other thing that we're really seeing a lot right now is this fear of, you know what, I'm not sure what's happening with my leads. I don't know what's happening with digital advertising. I'm going to stop marketing, right? And I think that that's one thing that should not change at all. Marketing yourself, doing lead generation, finding the way to increase your funnel, that should be more important than ever right now. Brian, what are your thoughts on marketing in the landscape of NAR?
So in the NAR, what's happening with NAR, just in the lawsuit, there's been a couple developments. As you all know, right now, the NAR put out the in August, the new changes are going to go into effect. What it basically, and obviously we have all this kind of on our mind, but essentially you have your commission that's, on the listing side, and then there's also a purchase side commission. That how that is still going to work out, we don't know. Other than that fact is that as an agent, to do a deal on the buy side, you're going to have a written agreement. You guys have all been discussing those contracts. We've all done buyer broker agencies. We've all done buyer agreements. Those are not new, so that hasn't changed. But now what's going to change is going to be required. Now, going back to digital marketing or any type of marketing on lead gen, that is going to be the thing that we have to start. So at the end of the day, getting people, trying to find a lead that wants to buy now, they probably are already going to have a contract. They're already going to be signed up with someone. So getting leads, getting people, throwing parties, doing digital marketing is even more important today now than ever before, because you want to set that value as early in the process of shopping as you can. So think of it like Nordstrom's or opening a store in the mall. You're not trying to find people that want to purchase the sweater. You're trying to get people into your store, into your portal, living in your ecosystem. It does not matter what stage they're in. You just want people in your database, and you want to put them on a plan to transact, get them into an agreement, get them into a console. And everything is shifting that way. But if you if you take your fishing pole out of the water, you're not going to catch any fish. If you wait for something to jump in your boat, thinking that then how did you earn that commission if they jumped in their boat? You have to put yourself in a position that you're earning a buyer commission or you're earning that seller commission now. We have to change the way that our mindset works.
Speaking of earning that commission, right? I think that's another piece that'll remain stable is we're going to continue to negotiate our commissions, right? We're going to continue to negotiate our terms. I think that process may change a little bit as we evolve, but the principle of negotiation will continue to be an important facet, probably more important now than really ever before, as we're trying to differentiate ourselves from the competitors that are trying to earn that same piece of business, right? Brian, do you have any insight when you think about how agents may negotiate differently or when that negotiation could start in the buying journey?
Yeah. So as we're going in, as agents are throwing that party, and a party could be a digital ad on Google pay-per-click. It could be a Facebook dynamic advertising. When you think about managing this whole experience, we really want to have search to settlement technology. So if we want to connect as though it's your store, your value from the start, you want them to originate with you, and you want that value statement in the beginning of what you're going to do for them, not what I want you to do for me. And so no matter where they come, so at the very beginning, making the assumption that they want to buy or not buy or whatever, Zillow, it doesn't matter. The point is that early on, we have to put them on a path to transact with us someday. And so what you have to do is think of it as a living organism, like an egg versus a chicken. We all want the chicken to be at the end, baby chicken, oh, hey, how's it going? We actually have to raise that lead now. And so this idea of AI, this idea of creating an ecosystem, search to settlement in one database, a growing life cycle, your own portal is more critical moving forward. And then when you're negotiating your deals, it's more of a long-term program where you're saying, hey, you're a renter, great. I'm going to put you on a purchase program. So let's sign up for the 6-month program. Maybe you're doing an agreement because now they may be shopping for 6 months. Just like a listing agreement, you're going to put them on a buyer agreement that you're going to transact with them and you're going to build them into a buyer. You're going to help them develop into that. On the listing side of things, this is the one that came up recently, as you mentioned, we talked about just the other day. I was doing a coaching call with a big broker, and I said, when you go on your listing appointment now, and you're talking about the listing, you should do a list power analysis. If you guys want to write that down, it's a little same thing as a CMA. I just changed the wording. This sounds better. What you want to do is make sure that that seller also has to purchase a house. So now you have to analyze the commission on the purchase side of the listing side, but now you want to represent them on the purchase side as a commission on the buy side. You're not really changing it. It's just where and when they have to pay a commission. So your sellers now have to pay a commission to you on the buy side. It's changing everything about the negotiation a little bit on how that works. So I would like agents to think about, everybody on this call is having a listing presentation and a buyer agency presentation, and how that and when to enable that and when to start talking about that. Those are the things that we really need to think about. And how does your CRM or how does your marketing system, and we'll talk about Lofty if you guys have questions, how does that help enable that through the entire ecosystem? So you're going to have a buyer agency presentation, and you're going to have a list agency, and there's going to be more dual agency things. And so the other thing that we may change as we get into another topic a little bit later, we'll talk about how to pool and do some co-oping and marketing and loose teams and how to co-op your budgets and things like that. That's more complicated as we talk.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think in a nutshell, though, now is not the time to be pulling back, right? I think we need to be really aggressive as there's this undercurrent of skepticism and timidity that's kind of invading our industry, right? So stand strong, lean into your relationships, lean into the system that you use and trust to keep track of those relationships and to recognize intent. I think also is tracking and recognizing intent is incredibly important. We miss out on that a little bit, right? We only start to capture when, emails start to get opened or if our phone starts ringing, right? Brian, maybe you could speak to this. What do you think would be some ways that we can start to recognize when somebody may be entering that buying research process, that search process, right?
That's a great question. In fact, we want to make this whole for everybody that we're not here trying to sell Lofty. Lofty is a great system. If you'd like to look into it, the difference between what we're going to be talking about is creating that ecosystem. So I'd love you to pull up just our dashboard. Everybody's got a CRM, but right now, when we think about what he's talking about, a CRM that is not connected to everyday shopping, it's impossible to gauge intent. You have to do what's called push marketing emails that go out. And if it's not connected to a living where that person's in the portal, in listing alerts, 98% of people that come back to your ecosystem over and over, and you want them getting alerts from you. There's another stat that's important. The average consumer that's out there shopping is getting listing alerts from 3 to 5 different websites, maybe Zillow, maybe you, maybe someone else. And they're 85% likely to transact with whoever's giving them those alerts. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about the idea of how do I build a database, you want your platform to be one cohesive shopping experience. And that's how you're able to gauge intent. So the system needs to manage your life cycle of the consumer to close in one database. So if you pull up people tab and some of you have a people tab on, or you have a consumer tab in the other CRM, what you want your CRM or future CRMs to be doing is managing the search of the consumer and the engagement through either AI behavioral engagement, because we can't watch 1,000, 10,000 fishing poles. In fact, most of my teams I coach, they're getting more deals now, right now, from their database that's 5 years old, not the most active, the people they forget about. That's where they're working that with their ISAs. They're letting the systems nurture the leads and working these past leads they think aren't even live on the site anymore because they're transacting there. You just don't know it because you gave up on them. So we want to have a living organism. And so
Yeah.
when you look at this, things that you can do is know through your transactional activity is, did they look at a property more than once? Did they come back multiple times in the same week? So as your life cycle of consumer, it's about engaging them in a way that pulls them back to you for value in the nurture stage. And so this ecosystem to what we're moving towards and what you should be looking for is this 10,000 leads on listing alerts. I can't watch them and my agents can't follow up and look for a needle in the haystack. The system has to tell me when to engage. It
Yep.
has to be automated. And so it's one of the things that we're developing extensively right now. It's one of the things that we're pushing for this lawsuit is how to develop those relationships for the agent and develop them target audiences to go and manage. So that's what I would tell the people listening in is to think of a holistic approach and stop looking for that lead that's ready to buy now. That's going to be that's the biggest change that's happening is that your database is even more important than it's ever been and
Yeah.
keeping it alive and kicking.
I mean, Brian, to your point, right? Everybody thinks about leveraging AI to help find who their hottest leads are, right? And we certainly have that tool with Lofty. I could sort all my leads with the AI score that's these people are ready to buy. They're on our website. They're using the home valuation tool. They're clicking on our properties. But to your point, thinking about it a little differently, maybe instead of focusing on the folks with the highest lead score, we need to look at the folks that are shifting from a very low level of engagement, right? Somebody that hasn't been on your website, hasn't been engaging in your emails, and now all of a sudden is bubbling up ever so slightly, right? It's catching that activity as soon as it starts rather than just myopically focusing on the bottom funnel, right?
Well,
Let's start to really think about the people that are moving from zero to, you know what, I do want to start that research process, right? I think that will just help guide your thinking of how you can pave the way with future activities, and recognize what's happening right now, right? So it's not all about the people that have the highest lead scores. It's about the people that have displayed a change in a lead score from 0 to 10 or 10 to 20,
it's
something
it's
like that.
it's really that. So I always make jokes that Mickey Mouse buys more homes in America than anybody. So does FU when you get database management. I'm so sorry to say that on this call, but the reality of it is the people that are going online, the people that are searching on Zillow, they're there because they don't want to talk to an agent. They're not ready. And when they register, they want to see the picture of the house. It doesn't mean their intent. If they raise their hand and say, I'd like to look at a house or I have a question, that's golden. There's intent there. What we want to do is get more people doing that. But also there's other things like if someone unsubscribes, agents go, oh my God, well, they're unsubscribing because they're buying. They don't want to, they're in the buying process more often than not because you're annoyed them, but they unsubscribe because they're already working with an agent or they don't want to get a listing alert from you because they're already getting it from someone else. It's a perfect opportunity to reach out and say, hey, I noticed you unsubscribed. Let me make sure that you got things taken care of. And by the way, can you give me some feedback? It's just a way to say, hey, I took care of you. I took care of you. I'm taking care of your needs. Now, that's hard to do with a system that doesn't give you the tools to incubate real live shopping. And I don't want to be big brother, but I want the system that agents use for this commission lawsuit change to be like big brother, like the CIA, that I can see everything that's happening with somebody shopping in Nordstrom's. And when someone looks at a clothes, they look it up in the mirror and they want to try it on. I hope that I have an agent on my team that's going to go, man, that looks really good. Would you like some shoes with that outfit? Or if they're leaving the store, I want somebody saying, hey, by the way, before you leave, did you find something? Maybe you missed something. You can't watch everybody at the same time. You have to have an ecosystem to do that. And there's not very many of those. So if we're going to be moving forward in this lawsuit, you got to be ready. more often than not to have the right conversation at the right time. And we can't just dial for dollars anymore, hoping to find the needle in the haystack.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, Brian, I think that's a nice segue and starting to address how things are going to change, right? We spoke about how things will remain consistent in some ends, and now let's switch gears and talk about how things are going to evolve. So I think you wanted to maybe talk about first the lead generation side of things, maybe what we can do differently there. But go ahead and give us some insight into where you think the day-to-day processes are going to evolve here for our agents.
So as working with agents, one of the things I would say, and I use this a lot, and I think it's a very interesting way to think about the space. It's kind of where we're going. And that's we often use the term buyer and seller, and we're looking for sellers, meaning somebody that's going to sell. And somebody is, so when you buy lead gen, they say seller lead gen. So you're under assumption that you're getting sellers. What you're really doing is getting homeowners that want to check their value. Doesn't mean they want to sell. And everybody that's thinking about selling is actually buying probably because they have to buy a house to live in. And if they actually are talking to an agent about a buyer agreement before they've actually decided to list, you're missing out on 2 commissions there because we're using the wrong terminology. So really, in our ecosystem are homeowners and renters. And so if we start shifting our mindset to understand that every single lead is a homeowner or renter, and it's our job they transact with us at some day, it changes the mindset of how you communicate. Meaning everybody on this call, if you knew that they were a homeowner lead, would you change the way you communicated with them from the very beginning to create value and reasons to do and earn a commission with them? And I've asked that thousands of times, and every agent goes, absolutely, it'd make things easier. If I knew that somebody was a renter searching, I would change the way that I would put on a rent to buy program. I could earn a commission that way just by every lead is getting a consistent value. So one of the changes we have to start looking at is a long-term rent to own, sell to buy mentality. That way we have value through the database. And how we market that is also going to change. So for everybody listening, we don't want to be a slave to Google pay-per-click because in markets, you want to diversify your lead gen and start to dominate multiple community-based marketing. So you want not just farming, but dominate eyeballs. Like if you're opening a restaurant, you're not going to open a restaurant in every single town you serve. You're just never going to be successful. I mean, great, maybe the top agents can open up franchise agencies in every market. Be more dominant in the markets you want to sell in, and that will earn that commission opportunity more often and have those conversations. So we have 30, 40 different ways to do lead gen within our system. The cost of doing pay-per-click is on the highest level, highest cost. It doesn't mean it's the best value. We also have leads on demand where agents can go in and click a button and for $79 generate. I'm not selling here. I'm saying that we need to have a diversified way to capture leads for agents by landing pages, squeeze pages, business cards. Everything needs to have, I like to say, all roads lead back to you. So within our system and with what you're thinking about as an agent is make everything lead gen, make everything you do lead gen. Make sure that you have an open house registration that's automatically then going to send out something that's going to make sure that they think that you're earning a commission or that they want to do an agreement with you. So you have to earn it now. And so how you do that, you have to really start leveraging technology in a way of driving many rivers flowing into one stream. You start off with all these things here are little creeks. And what they're going to do is turn it into a commission river. I'm an analogy guy. You can't just be one way to go. You have to create little flows coming into your business. And sometimes it's free leads, paid leads. One of the best things I could do that agents do that I know works really well, and this would be great for the commission lawsuit time, is having a farmer's market, setting a kiosk up for how to purchase a home today. You're going to have hundreds of people come through. It's not even a cost really, but it's there and you've got them all over the community. There's throwing a pickleball tournament. I just did a coaching call with an agent. I have another call with him. He likes to play tennis. Now he's doing a tennis tournament. But you know what? He never made it about the homeowners and consumers. So he didn't sponsor it from his real estate company. I'm like, why would you not do that? Hey, it's a write-off. So that's another river.
Yep.
So I know that you guys have some questions that are coming in. We'll address them. So why don't you talk about the 33 ways to generate leads? And
Yeah.
and by the way, all the people on this call, they don't need Lofty to have these ways of generating a lead. It's nice to have it in one system, but it doesn't mean that you can't go out and do these all individually. It's just that we have to think about lots of different types of leads moving forward, meaning where. And last thing I'll say on this, it's really important. Local is everything. So in other words, we have people in markets. So you live in Arizona, Brady. I live in San Diego, the destination area. But at the end of the day, I want to market locally in Carlsbad because it's multi-million-dollar homes. And that's only people can afford to live in Carlsbad. I want to find the people that want to live in San Diego, that live here, and also want to buy a house here. So hyper local social marketing, you're going to get more homeowner leads that way. On the internet leads, you're going to get people that are dreamers. You have a lot of junk to sit through. Doesn't mean it's not profitable some. It just means that that's not the only string you have to pull these days.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favorite ways of helping agents audit their business is to think about the business as it's a math equation, right? Sales is science. So let's make it a little scientific here, right? The amount of traffic that you're generating and pointing towards your system is really, really important. These are simply ways to increase the amount of traffic. And traffic can be created in one of two ways. It can be done organically. There are free tools like making sure your website's SEO optimized, making sure you're really engaged across social media and promoting your listings on posts on social media. Those are free tools, right? On the other end of the equation, there's paid lead generation, things like Google, Bing, Instagram, Facebook, retargeting ads, right? Even all the way down to something as simple but as powerful as geographic farming, right? Who here is leaning back into direct mail marketing? Who here is trying those postcards again just to stand out from somebody that could think, snail mail is dead, right? It's not. It's not. If
80%
anything,
of deals come from direct marketing. 80% of all transactions in real estate come from direct engagement, from localized direct marketing. Just shaking hands, and a postcard is shaking someone's hand. The problem is that agents don't leverage the way to capture leads off those postcards. Best thing that happened in COVID is that postcards that I work with agents on and that can use within our system as well is that little scan code that we never used. Everybody uses it now. Look at a menu. Everybody uses text codes now. So that's, if I said, these are all things because when they scan that, you can now send a value prop to them. You can now automatically send a PDF. You can send a digital home evaluation report, a neighborhood report, a community report. You can automate everything to automatically go out of value off every marketing thing that you do. It's actually fun. You have to have fun.
yep, exactly right. Exactly right. So I think one of the things I'd be doing if I was looking at this is I'd be auditing, am I missing any of these pieces, right? These are all pieces in your puzzle. There are tools in your arsenal for generating more traffic into your sales funnel. But just to round out that explanation, traffic, these are all things that generate traffic, right? Then you need to make sure your lead capture is dialed. How are you driving and engaging your folks to give you their personal information, right? Do you have a very powerful call to action on your website? Do
It
you
all starts
humanize
there.
yourself on your website? What was that?
It all starts there.
That's right. You
And
can be
all the,
driving a ton of traffic. You can be getting a ton of people onto the top of your funnel, but if you're not capturing them, they're just bouncing, right? It's no better than having a billboard in the desert, right?
can I
So,
share a story with that?
please.
All right. So about capture, and Brady, why don't we move to what ways they can capture? But I have this one broker, and we've all done this. You walk down the street downtown, and there's an office. Everybody on this call. This is all about the lawsuit because you need more at bats than ever before moving forward. The more at bats you have, the better chance you have to earn. And so I walk by his office, and he has all the pictures of the houses out there. We've all done it. Okay, we've all done it. And on the picture of the house, what are we hoping they stop? He's sitting at a desk. He's watching people stop and look at the pictures. We're just watching. I'm like, what are you doing sitting here? He's watching people. But on the photograph, he had no scan code to get more photos of this home. He had no call to action. I said, just put a picture of the house. with the scan photo to see all the photos in this home sent to you, which then brings in the lead. He gets the phone number, he gets everything. So then I said, just do that. And so he changed all his flyers in the window. We came back to the same office, and then people are stopping, putting the code. I'm watching leads come in all day from the pictures as people walk by. Now his photograph on his homes is a business value lead gen. That's traffic to lead gen, traffic to lead gen, everything. And by the way, he gets more business from his window than almost anything now.
Something as simple as that, right? I think, and that's just reflective of where we're heading as a society, right?
Oh,
Pictures seal the deal for us. Everybody wants to look at pictures of homes. Everybody wants to get engaged in those kind of things, right?
it's like Minority Report. If you ever seen the movie, they're coming to that. Now they have things that we can put boxes eventually down the road. They're coming out, I promise you, where somebody walks by your storefront, it'll capture who they are and send them a message on their phone.
Yep.
It can send a message. You can't it just sends up a little blurb. You like Waze that's doing it. So understand, I'm not asking all these people to memorize and know all these things. What I'm sorry, you want to work with companies that are leading that charge and not buying things like a merry-go-round anymore. You want to work with a company that's in business with you to earn you a commission and revenue.
Yep.
And there's companies out there you can all hire and work with. And so that's kind of a message of how we need to change. So making sure that you have your lead gen tools, tool chest, flyers, mailers, postcards, scan codes, digital phone tracking, auto dialing. These are all things that are going to help us weather this commission change.
Yep. And also some of the tools that can help you capture that traffic that you're generating are going to be things like highlighting your years of experience, right? People want to know that they're dealing with a trusted professional, right? They want to know that you're an expert in the market that they're searching for, right? Where do you brand yourself as a local area expert? You got to be promoting that. You've got to know your market like the back of your hand, right? You also need to promote the fact that you're an expert negotiator, right? I think, like, going back to what we've already talked about, negotiation will be even more important than it has been. It's always been there. It'll become even more critical as we shift into this post NAR ruling world, right? The other piece that you should be highlighting as you're trying to capture that traffic is the ability for you to be hyper efficient at converting those deals and turning them into sales, right? You don't want to drag out the process. You want to make sure that you can painlessly help folks move into that purchase, complete that deal, and move on with their lives, right? Find that dream home and then get back to living and enjoying time with their family.
Our corporate goal for just influencing the industry and what we're moving towards is expanding the agent's ability, whether it be property management, to all of these things, expanding their ability to earn money, search to settlement. We all live in this world, search to settlement. We all touch it. Mortgage rep. So we have a mortgage person as a partner. We have to optimize the search process to the concierge, to the advice, to the advisor, get more leads qualified. That's what's going to help us earn those commissions, earn those ability. It's all about consolidating the consumer's experience to actually transact and making sure there's a journey and you are involved in that journey from start to finish. It may not be physically having to sit there and talk to everybody, but the system itself is making sure that the consumer feels from start to finish, you are their advisor, you are their expert, you are the person they call. It's about obligation, about reciprocity, and then feeling that you are earning my business. It's never going to be more important than that's the biggest difference out of this commission lawsuit is we have to give the consumer, we have to get them to feel that we earn their business from the day they started searching, that 5 years from now, they transact. We don't know when that's going to happen, but they're not going to raise their hand and call you if you don't feel that you earned it. And we want to if I could give one message to everybody listening is, as you're bringing people into this ecosystem, you have to have that kind of mentality moving forward. It's a mind shift change. And it means it's overwhelming. Like, I got to do all this work. No. As technology leaders, we're going to optimize all of these things as a community. What I mean by that is there are other vendors that you can go with or other people. We're all talking about this. But I want the people listening to ask the right questions of the vendors they're talking to. Out of this call, do you have a search to settlement plan? Do you have a long-term nurture through automation? If I'm not paying attention, what does your system do to convert a lead into a conversation with me doing nothing? That's all. That's a question I always ask for CRMs when people want to use their CRMs, Brady. I say, if I'm not paying attention, I'm asleep. I'm going on a closing, whatever it may be. What does my quote, because Lofty's not a CRM, we're an ecosystem. We're the complete search journey. What does this system do to convert this lead into a prospect for me without me doing anything at all? Take away one question for commission lawsuit, whatever you're using, ask that question to yourself, ask that question to your vet. If you do nothing at all and I have 1,000 leads, what will the system do to create an opportunity for me? And
Love that.
drip emails are not going to create that opportunity. It's just not. It pushes people away. No one likes getting drip campaigns. They like getting things like pictures of houses and you ask them about the house. Most CRMs don't have that. They don't have the ability to do that. It's an ecosystem. So
You know, Brian, I just wanted to point out. So you and I were talking to a marketing expert yesterday, and in the course of that conversation, you mentioned asking vendors the right questions. I think it's really important to point out the questions that we should be asking our leads and the traffic that we're creating, right? And there's also ways to ask really bad questions that can burn
absolutely.
relationships early on, right? And this conversation with this marketing expert, he does Google campaigns for thousands of agents all across the US and Canada. And one of the ways that he audits the quality of his agents that he's helping with these campaigns is he will create a lead records for himself and he will get captured on that agent system. And he'll see, number one, how fast is that agent calling me? Speed to lead, speed to engagement is the name of the game. But more important than that is what kind of questions is that agent asking as they try and open up the relationship with a brand new cold internet lead. And his number one way of getting a lead being burned, he says, I will hang up if somebody asks me that question is, what kind of price point are you looking for?
Or what
Right?
can I do to help you?
That's the better question to be
It's a
asking,
better
right?
question.
But
So,
if you start off by asking about budget, right, you're asking about yourself. You're asking about your commission check. It's important, but you need to put their priorities first. How can I help you buy your next dream home?
so
He
if
said,
you ask
ask them
me,
this question.
that's the most important thing that we talk about for everybody here before we get to questions. That I'm getting that are having success is turning themselves into a concierge where when you engage with them, and I have scripts that I've worked with, we talked about this, but asking questions like, hey, do you have another realtor? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Those are information, things that you want to know. Personal questions are terrible. No one wants to answer those kind of questions when you first start talking. You don't know anything about the lead. So you have to start off by I always have a trick, and I'll just give the people here as a trick, is just introducing yourself. Hi, Brady. Know you were searching on the site today. Hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Brian. Nice to meet you. It's a little trick. I've been teaching agents to do this. You'd be amazed on how just that alone opens up the conversation, makes them want to hear more from you. And now you have it's a little trick is you shake their hand over the phone. You shake their hand. In person, that's how you introduce yourself at an open house. We don't do it on the phone. So if you get anything out of this, you're greeting somebody. Nice to meet you. After that, you can start with just a statement of value, not by you're in value, but hey, just a quick question. You're a homeowner, right? You're a renter, right? Hey, I just noticed you were shopping and I'm doing some research for you. A statement of service as opposed to I'm servicing you. I'm giving you service. I'm doing something for you is a great lead in. I'm already working for you. I'm researching that property. I'm researching that area you search. And I have a quick question. And then you're bringing them in and you're reeling them in. So it's really about pull versus push, pushing your information onto somebody or reeling them in with information about what you're doing for them. That's really what we're talking about, not to make it overcomplicated, but that's what you're talking about. And I love secretly shopping sites. I shop PPC sites, thousands of them. And then I see how long it takes them to call me. And then I see what the message, and then I call the agent up and I go, hey, I got a quick tip for you. You know, I just got a text message 2 days ago from an agent that was texting me, would you like to sell your house? I'll pay cash for it. I'm like, you don't have permission to contact me. What are you doing?
Try introducing yourself first. Maybe we'll see where it gets you, right?
Yeah, try saying, "Hey, I'm John. Nice to meet you. Just did some research in the neighborhood, had a couple interested purchasers and buyers in the area, and they liked your house." That's a way better approach than saying, "Hey, would you like to sell your house? Thank
Yep.
you very much." No.
Brian, I wanted to switch gears before we get into QA really quick. And I did want to just bring up this idea of with NAR looming, right? A lot of agents can be asking themselves, do I have the right support structure being a solo agent, one man, one woman army? Do I have the right support structure in my current brokerage, in my current setup, right? What's your philosophy on the role that teams and team building will play in this current environment?
I would say that right now, the biggest change that we're going to have in this space as commissions constrain is you have companies that like portals like Zillow and Realtor.com. You look at online marketing, you search, and 10 years ago, I'd search Carlsbad Homes and Real Estate, and you'd have a bunch of sites that I was part of and other sites that do pay per click. And those are the dominant links that people would find. Now they're nowhere to be found anymore. These links are Zillow's buying Google ads and these types of things. So we're being priced out of the market just like the lending industry did a long time ago. The cost of that lead to close is much higher, so they can drive more people to that portal. So you as agents spend money on Zillow as opposed to going direct. You're going to get far more leads for the cost of what it does. So when we think about the cost of lead gen and diversifying the amount of eyeballs that come to your restaurant, a lot of times think of the fact that we're going to be moving to more teams, or what I like to say call co-ops. And a co-op means that brokers need to, as a brokers listening in, franchise owners, and anybody listening as a broker, we need to provide technology that creates wealth for agents. So if you're not providing technology for your agents that allows them to create wealth, meaning not CRM doesn't generate leads. A CRM is a storage device for leads. We want to start providing agents technology at a lower cost that allows them to transact opportunities through privacy, independence, and privacy, independent, and portability. So in other words, technology allows the agents to co-op, Brady, together or form a team or join a team, but also allows independency and private business under that team. It's very different mindset because if I work for an office and I get a subdomain site and I leave, it's not like I can work for certain companies and take my whole tech deck with me. Brokers are going to have a lot more retention and attraction for agents if they can provide a tech stack that's normally 1,200 for $50 and it's fully independent private. That gives agents more money to spend on creating wealth. So we want to, and so by the way, these systems that we're talking about, our system, they're very costly to produce. But I feel that in the future, having two, I just did this, we just had this call with one of our clients. An agent came in, he's going, "Hey, I have this other agent. He loves Lofty. It's great. How much is, oh, can we just pool together? Can we create two systems out of one, but we still are independent?" And the answer to that is yes. You can share the cost. You can have a lender partner, which we've done, but now it's becoming more important. So it's about diversifying your expenses to allow yourself to do more marketing and do the 33 different types of lead gen. So you really want to create wealth through that. So I see that as the biggest change moving forward. Teams, office is providing these systems for agents that truly create wealth and consolidating your efforts. So I would say that in the future, agents feel more comfortable forming co-ops, but that means you have to have the right system that allows independency, privacy, right? Private leads that are not. So in other words, if I'm a team with you, Brady, I can share a system with you, but I can do my own stuff to the left. You can do your own stuff to the right. And we're not competing and you're not getting access to my leads and I'm not getting access to your leads. If we decide to break up, we can take our business and go separate ways. No big deal. It's a co-op or a team lead. So both those options are really what agents should be looking to do, is how to diversify their ad budgets and spend to co-op moving forward to create more value, to create more opportunities. I see that as the biggest change.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, we've only got a few minutes left in this. I did want to get some time for QA, and I think I saw a couple coming in there. Let's go ahead and double check. Rob, I love it. Rob asked a good question over here. He said, "Give me the pitch for Lofty." Well, Rob, we said that this wasn't going to be all about us, but I mean, you are opening that door. So, Brian, you want to take that away and maybe I can add some color commentary over the course?
So the pitch for Lofty, for everybody, is Lofty is an ecosystem search to settlement platform that allows for agents to expand their reach in the multiple different verticals to generate leads, control those leads to all the way through to close in one ecosystem, like a living organism. So in other words, when you have a lead coming in, they may buy 2 years from now. You want a system that's going to make sure that they're more likely to buy from you 2 years from now, but you didn't miss the person that's ready to buy now. And so you have to have a much larger distribution of lead flows, so it isn't just a pay-per-click or lead gen system. In fact, most systems out there that say we generate leads don't generate leads. It's the agent doing it. They're generating traffic. And so if your only system only generates just PPC traffic, it's going to be much harder moving forward in the commission lawsuit to make money. So Lofty is a much more diversified traffic system. It is a nurture system for nurturing leads through AI and live chat, and eventually calling through AI for people, through having AI optimize the things you don't do and want to do so you can have transactions more. And Lofty is a system that's going to allow you to actually manage and track your dollars spent so you know what you're spending your money on is working. We're very transparent. So it is a business in a box. And everybody listening as a team, you need to provide business in a box for your agents. If you're a single agent wanting to buy something, you need a business in a box. So you're running an independent business. If you're a broker listening, you want to provide all your agents an independent private business in a box, but allow you to do lead routing and economics all the way through and track all that. So in other words, we can run a corporation, we can run a team, we can run an agent, we can run seats, we can do anything through one system, but it's the same value top to bottom.
Yep.
We're not taking value away and saying, here, you get a little thing over here because that's all you. No, it's a full business in a box. Run your business, be successful, make money, and have one place to go for everything. And now it's not all in one. That's a misconception. It is business in a box. It's revenue generating opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I love that explanation. I'll try and condense that a little bit into Lofty is a platform to help you maximize your revenue and dominate your market, right? And increase your sales, right? How we get there is by doing three things extremely well. Number one is generating traffic. Number two is capturing that traffic. And number three is both automating follow up and making it extremely easy for you to maximize your follow up, right? If you are driving traffic, capturing leads, and maximizing the effectiveness of your follow up, your output, your revenue is going to increase. And Lofty is an accelerant across all three of those areas.
And more automated. So in other words, all that's normally you have to do, a lot of agents have to do it on their own. Most of those things, I just want agents to put into place their traffic program, put in place what they need to do, and really focus on following up with the right people so their time is spent on transactional opportunities and less time is being spent hoping for something to happen, because hope is not a marketing strategy.
Exactly right. Well, we did just post a link in the chat here for registering for some information for our sales team to provide a full end-to-end demo of the websites we provide, the CRM that we provide, the marketing solutions that are available. Please don't hesitate. Enter your information on that link, and we'll be reaching out to coordinate that demo and overview. Brian, go ahead.
Are there any more questions that we have? Anybody else have any more questions? Please feel free to ask. Obviously the links are great. You can ask questions. If you're a Lofty customer and we talked about something that you didn't even know exists, like leads on demand through, say, a property boost. These are things that we have training videos and training mechanisms in place. Calling in and saying, hey, can I get this information? That's thousands of clients. What we want to do is get into your system, and we have a success center. We have a training center that talks about. So one thing that's important that we end on, asking the right question as an agent, as opposed to what you talked about. So as you guys are coming in, ask those right questions. How do I generate traffic? Not how do I get leads? How do I generate traffic? What are the ways you generate traffic? That's a takeaway. Number two, what are the ways that your system optimizes my automation of follow-up to engage leads without me doing work? That's a second question. Ask your vendors that takeaway. Ask us that. Are experts. And number two, what are the different tools? How many and what tools do you have available for me to capture leads across all the channels I work in? What are the tools to capture lead capture tools, landing pages, squeeze pages? These are things that you use every day. Start asking the right questions so that you get a very good education purchase process or a value to who you're talking to instead of thinking about, hey, they promised me 50 leads. Really? Where are they getting? Are they bulk buying those for $1,500? I had an agent get 25 leads for 79 bucks on a budget 2 days ago. So, I mean, come on. What are you asking the right questions? Start being really, take that takeaway, ask those questions. And I challenge everybody to start doing that. Look at your database, look at your systems you're using, look at what you're using for your business and start asking, is this a complete sentence? Is this really a complete platform, a complete program? And if it's not, give us a call. And if we're not a good fit, we'll point you in the right direction.
I think that is a good place for us to let these wonderful folks with Realty One Group get back into their day and go chase some business and close some deals. Guys, thank you all so much for making the time for this conversation. We hope you enjoyed it. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Brian, myself, us here at Lofty if you have any questions. Go ahead, Brian.
One passing note, you guys at ROG, I've got a lot of experience. You guys have a great value prop to offer the consumer the way that your business model is at ROG. You should start leveraging that in this commission lawsuit. I should have talked about that earlier, but ROG's transactional type business gives you more cash to purchase, more cash to buy, more opportunities to generate revenue in different channels because of the way that your business and ROG has set up the financial opportunities for you guys. They do a great job of that. And that gives you a lot of leverage as well. So within your corporation, there's a lot of opportunity in your business to leverage just your message at ROG to the consumer as well on your advantage. So you do have some advantages to leverage that and learn how to do that with ROG's business model as well.
Beautiful. All right, guys, go forth and conquer. Thank you again for your time today. We're here if you need anything. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.